Hi guys, Chantal here from Grounded Mind. How are you all doing today? It's a late one tonight, but I wanted to share a few things um, about me on my journey with vestibular migraine and just how I'm doing and kind of, I suppose, the support that I'm offering to people. And quite often I reflect on kind of what I've been through. And I think about in 2021 when my vertigo became chronic, and also when I kind of piece things together over the years, and think about how I've been health wise. And I've always had vertigo. I think since I was a teenager. So I think from when I was like 17, and when I had my first child, I remember having vertigo bad then and low iron. And every year since, I've had like probably like 1 or 2 episodes of vertigo, and it's always been when I've been really stressed out. But it's never been a problem. It's just been one of those things that I've had, and with like a good night's sleep and some rest, it just goes. I don't, it's not a thing. Life's happening, um, and then when I think about in 2021, when the vertigo I had was actually quite different to what I've experienced in the past, because it was like the onset, the beginning of it. And then when it was really bad, the VM, I would actually feel the room spinning. But it was always the beginning feeling of vertigo, which is just awful. You feel as if, and I know people that have got vertigo know this, and I know you guys that are watching this will know this, but it's just as if you can't actually stand up and focus because you feel like your body's going to turn and the room's going to start spinning. But it's quite bizarre because with VM, the majority of the times, this was in 2021, beginning in 2022, it never came on fully. It was always just the sensations of me knowing that this is vertigo, but then it not fully happening. Sometimes it did, but the majority of the times it was just kind of just that feeling of like that rocky feeling, and like that kind of unsteady feeling. And when I think about it, it does make me feel quite sad, because where my mindset was back then was in a place of just, it was just despair. I didn't see a way out. And I know I've touched upon this before, but one of the nights when I went to bed and I just heard a pop in my head and like the buzzing sensation, which was tinnitus, which was the start of that. And I remember being in bed thinking, oh my God, what is this? What is this? And then it must have been about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just Googling tinnitus and vertigo, and I saw Meniere's disease, and I was reading it, and it was like, chronic dizziness and vertigo forever with hearing loss and no known cause. And I got myself in such a state. It was awful. It was so awful. I remember the next day I called my mum and I was just crying down the phone saying, Mum, I can't believe this is happening. What's going on? What's wrong with me? And like forward now into, 2024, August 2024, I'm thinking, oh, what a place to have been in. And that's kind of the place that I know a lot of people are in, which is why I do these videos, because it's such a lonely, horrible place. And it's a place where you feel there's no way out. And the worst thing about it is when I did have it quite bad back in the day, well, 2021, 2022, it was like some days I'd wake up looking or feeling to see if I was going to feel odd, and I'd feel okay, and all of a sudden it would just happen. And that was the thing, like not knowing when it was going to attack. And how my brain associated certain things to triggers, which it actually did. For example, the low salt diet that I touched upon, and being on that and losing so much weight. And if I did have more salt than I was supposed to have, then the symptoms would start. And it's just to do with how our brain, there's so many things in terms of how our brain sees things. Like, obviously, that does work, the low sodium diet, but it doesn't work because you're not having salt. It works because you've told your brain that if you don't eat salt, you won't have symptoms, or it'll feel it'll be mild. And that's all to do with the neuroplasticity. It's to do with how what we tell ourselves, and how the signals in our brains then change. And if you tell your brain that by not doing something, something's going to happen enough, your brain will stop doing it, because you've told your brain that if you don't have salt, then you won't get dizzy. It's not because of the salt, it's because you've actually told your brain and you've rewired your brain. And I really would like you guys that listen to this to do some research and just look into what neuroplasticity is, and it will make sense to you. Where you send energy in your brain, that's where the neurons in your brain will fire. So I wanted to just kind of, I suppose, touch base to let people know that I empathise massively with you because, you know, a few years ago, I would not be doing this video. A few years ago, I was on this sofa under a blanket with the lights off, sad and crying, getting my parents to go to the supermarket for me because I was too scared to walk out the house because of how I felt, and, you know, feeling that the world was honing in on me and people were staring at me. I felt like my vision wasn't correct at all. My ears were ringing, and that kind of onset of a vertigo was just constantly there. And even when I was speaking, it felt like I couldn't get my words out. The brain fog was just epic. I've done a video on brain fog and how it affected me. Not being able to see my friends. And I mean, they did come round, but me not even wanting to have a conversation with them. And yeah, just life stopped. Work stopped. Being a mom stopped. Being a friend stopped. Being me stopped. Being what I love stopped. Going to the gym stopped. Driving stopped. Everything stopped. And depression set in. And so, you know, I can be confident and bubbly and, you know, talk about not fearing the symptoms and trying to teach you guys an approach which is so new to you, to a scared brain. And so it's difficult to take on the things that I say, because the state of mind of fear and being scared, and, you know, literally being scared by who you are or the symptoms that you are feeling. And so I completely get, I empathise and I get it. And for me, I think what I want to try and get across is that there is a way out of this. There is a cure. There is a way how you can live with your symptoms. My life right now is different to how it was in 2021. You know, I drive, I go to the gym, I go to work, I go to the shops, I see my friends. The main thing is, I suppose, is, I know this can sound a bit silly, I go to the gym. I stopped going for the gym for over a year because there was nowhere on earth I could step foot in a gym with all those people, feeling dizzy, not knowing I wouldn't be able to get onto a treadmill and even run for 30 seconds, never mind run for like 30 minutes, which is what I can do now. And so I think the important thing that I want to get across is that there is a way out of feeling NQR, not quite right. There is a way of being able to go back to work. There's a way that you can go back to the gym. And I suppose the biggest thing, or the biggest takeaway from this, is that I want you all to know that the symptoms you feel on from the area that you feel them. There isn't anything wrong with you. Not being able to see my friends. And I mean, they did come round, but me not even wanting to have a conversation with them. And yeah, just life stopped. Work stopped. Being a mom stopped. Being a friend stopped. Being me stopped. If you've gone to the doctors and they've said to you that you haven't got anything that's fractural, you haven't got any cancers, you haven't got any tumours, and your scans are clear, and that it is Meniere's disease or it is vestibular migraine or any type of vestibular issue where they will say there's no known cause, then you have got a mind-body illness 100%, which means that the pains, the symptoms that you are feeling are coming from a scared brain. They're coming from stress, they're coming from fear, they're coming from anxiety, they're coming from things that happen in your conscious, they're coming from things that happen in your subconscious. And the way that you get around that is by accepting the fact that these symptoms are there, and honestly just not judging them, not being scared of them. And that sounds like a very silly thing to say, because of course you're going to be scared when you don't feel yourself. Of course you're going to be scared when you're feeling dizzy. But there are different methods that you can do to understand your symptoms. For example, I've mentioned somatic tracking, where you literally just lie down or sit up and you feel the sensations from a non-judgmental place. So for example, you're watching your symptoms like how you're watching, I don't know, the clouds going by, or a concert, or you're watching the seaside. You're literally picturing that symptom in front of you and you are analysing it, but you're not judging it. So you're saying, oh, it feels buzzy, it feels like it's in one area, it feels hot, it feels cold. And as silly as this sounds, try this technique, because what you're essentially doing is you're telling your brain that you're not scared of the symptom by looking at the symptom and not being scared of it. And therefore, when you're not scared of it and you can actually look at the physical symptom that you are, the sensations that you're feeling, you can see it, you can describe it. You're not describing it in a way like, oh, it's annoying me, I can't stand it, it's not making me, I can't do this because of the symptoms, I can't do that because of, that's judging it. But if you're looking at it and saying, okay, so you're there, and you have to forgive me. I've had to restart this a few times because my storage is full. So I've had to delete things and then come back on and record again. Lesson learned, delete photos and videos off your phone before you record. So yeah, so I was just mentioning that. I think if you can get to a place, if you can just try to get to a place where you're not judging your symptoms, then you will feel different. I'm not saying you're going to feel 100% better, but you will learn how to have a relationship with your symptoms that isn't judgmental. The judgmental relationship that you have with your symptoms is what's making it persistent and consistent. So I would like to give you a task, and I would like to know if that helps. Somatic tracking is very good to help you to understand how to do that. It's one of the things that really helped me in the beginning, to understand how to not judge my symptoms, and it really helped me. So I would like you to try that, and let me know how you get on. I mean, the bottom line for me is that I completely 100% understand how you're feeling to a T, because I've been there and I was there for a long time. You have to forgive me. I've had to restart this a few times because my storage is full. So I've had to delete things and then come back on and record again. Lesson learned, delete photos and videos off your phone before I needed to get out of this. And then I actually found help from the support groups, from people like me who reached out to me. And so I'm being like them and reaching out to you. One of the things I don't kind of, I suppose, suggest is to constantly go in the support groups. I mean, I know I've just mentioned that I got help from there, but one of the things I was told was not to keep going in there because unfortunately some people don't want help, and that's not everybody. Some people just, and I understand it, you know, it's difficult to try and find and do something new that just feels so bizarre. But honestly, what I learned in 2022 is what I am still learning today. And if I do have a day where I feel NQR, if I do have a day where I can feel the symptoms, I know exactly what to do. And that's calm reassurance. So that's taking deep breaths, feeling the symptom, trying not to judge it, and it dissipates. And so if you want to know more about this approach and mind-body healing, and yeah, let me know. I've mentioned before that I'm going to do a live. I'm kind of gearing myself up to do a live so I can speak to people and just share my story and some of the techniques that worked for me. But yes, I'm here, always here, and please like and share.